Wait a minute. You guys are still watching? You're, you're back? You're watching? Hey, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm glad you're back. It's good to see you. But yeah, hey, it's Lonnie from Tats, and welcome to BodyBags. Yeah, cool. Thanks for dropping by. Anyway, yeah, I got a fun movie to talk to you guys about this week. Excuse me. And this one here is a movie I definitely recommend. I mean, let me put it this way. This is the kind of movie, like, say like me and the other guys on the channel, like me and, Glenn, Rob, Sam, Chris, James, Jason. Like, let's say we're all sitting here, we're hanging out, and we decide we wanted to watch a horror movie, and we couldn't really decide what we wanted to watch. Like, would we want something with some humor in it? Would we want something gory? Would we want something that's, kind of a little bit, like, can't decide either, like, do we want a slasher movie? Do we want a demonic possession movie or a haunted house movie? Things like this. This would be the movie I would definitely recommend because you get pretty much all of it. The movie that I'm talking about is Studio 666, courtesy of the Foo Fighters. Now, here's the thing. Even if you're not a Foo Fighters fan, if you're not a fan of their music, I would definitely recommend watching this movie because, this movie is it's a blast. It's so much fun. Even if you're not a fan of the Foo Fighters, if you like the idea of watching a movie where these guys, poke fun at themselves and have fun with it, and you just like the idea of a movie with, just a group of guys, you could tell by watching the movie and the energy in this movie and everything else, you could tell this is a movie about a group of guys who is just having a really good time making a fun horror movie. And this movie is fun. That's all it is. It's like, and that's all you need. I gotta be honest. I'm actually kind of really happy. I mean, so far, we've had a couple of duds here and there, but you know what? 2022 is really shaping up to be a good year for horror. I mean, if you think about it, like this movie, X, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen it yet, but you know what? Everything I'm hearing about Nope, I'm hearing that movie's, awesome. You know, I think the only thing I've heard, the only criticism I've heard about that movie is like it's slow in a couple of parts. Like it could just, use a little bit of, just kind of like a little bit of editing down, kind of get the pace going a little bit better. But other than that, it's like, from my understanding, Jordan Peele just knocked it out of the ballpark on that one. But you got this, you got the Black Phone. Hopefully, we got some other good stuff coming. I know not a lot of people are, but I'm looking forward to Rob Zombie's movie of the Munsters. I'm willing to give Halloween Ends the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens, but so far 2022, we've had some pretty decent horror films coming out, and this one is definitely one. And this has so many ingredients into it that you're gonna want to see it. Okay, I know I've rambled for the first 3 minutes, but here, let me explain this to you. Okay, the story is very basic and very simple. All right, at the beginning of the movie, you got this house, and inside the house there was a band that was recording an album, and things went really bad. They don't really explain to you. It's just kind of a quick little prologue, but we get the idea that this house is evil and it's possessed by demons and all this other kind of stuff. Then we go to, you have your opening credit sequence, and, now you're introduced, you got the Foo Fighters, and they're sitting in an office, and they're talking, and you got, like, real quick, too, you got, like, a fun list of names in this movie, not just the Foo Fighters, the six guys, and just a real quick shout out, Taylor Hawkins there, the drummer, may he rest in peace. Unfortunately, he passed after this movie was made, and he's in a good portion of the movie. He's a lot of fun. He really does add, all the six members of the Foo Fighters, they all add, really something to this. You could tell, like, they have almost kind of really fun camaraderie with each other. And Taylor was one of the fun guys, and, he was awesome in the movie. And like I said, like, may he rest in peace. But anyway, back to it. Not just the Foo Fighters. You got, quite a list of people in this movie. Okay, their manager, played by comedian Jeff Garlin. You have their next door neighbor when they, Their next door neighbor, played by Whitney Cummings. You have a guy, the food delivery guy, is played by Will Forte. Jenna Ortega, like a couple of weeks ago when I reviewed X, I was talking. It's like now, I don't know if Jenna Ortega, like I said in my X review, I don't know if she's choosing to do these horror films or if this is just the only movies she gets offered to do. But Jenna Ortega, man, she's killing it with these horror films. And I really do. I think, she's, whether she embraces it or not, I can't tell you. But you know what? I think she's well on her way to becoming one of the next really, really like standout scream queens. With the work she did in this movie, X, she's got the Tim Burton Wednesday Addams Family series coming up. Let's see. She was in Scream. I think she's already going to be in the next Scream movie and stuff. So, like I said, I don't know if I don't know if she chooses these movies or if this is the only role she gets offered. But you know what? Like I said, she's making a killing with these horror films, and honestly, I don't mind if she continues doing it. So, who else? Oh, one thing that's really, really fun is that John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies, they contributed to the music score for this. Excuse me. And John Carpenter even has a cameo in the movie. And holy hell, Lionel Richie has a cameo in this movie. I'm not joking. Lionel freaking Richie has a cameo in this movie, and it's a blast to see Lionel Richie in this movie. To see Lionel, it's like, honestly, it's like if I could like go back in time to when I was a kid in the 1980s, and if somebody told me like, hey, wait a minute, listen to Lionel Richie doing all of his songs, like, Hello, and let's see what else, Dancing on the Ceiling and stuff. If you told me the day would come I would actually see Lionel Richie in a horror movie, I don't think I would have believed you. But here he is. He's in this. He has a fun little cameo in it. John Carpenter I think I said this already, but John Carpenter has a cameo in this movie. When the Foo Fighters are mixing their new album, John Carpenter's the one doing the mix on the album and stuff. So you get a fun little cameo by him. So anyway, so I keep going off on these tangents. I'm sorry, but it's just I got all this stuff in my head. I'm trying to get it out. So anyway, so the story is pretty basic. It's pretty simple. So, like I said, there was this massacre in this house, and then we come to present day. Now the Foo Fighters, they're sitting in an office, and they're just kind of bullshitting, talking about movies and whatnot. And their manager, played by Jeff Garlin, he comes in and he tells them, hey, you guys owe me a new album, and when am I gonna get my new Foo Fighters album? Because I'm tired of not making money off of you guys and stuff. And so Dave Grohl, he tells, oh, by the way, Dave Grohl also created the story for this movie, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, so Dave Grohl, right there, tells them, yeah, we got the album, we're going to do this and everything else. The problem, he kind of hints like, the problem is like we need some place where we can, go and we can make our album, and we can, be like creative, get the creative juices flowing and whatnot. So anyway, excuse me. So anyway, so Jeff Garlin, his character, he tells him, okay, you know what? He's like, I got an idea. So he calls this lady named Barb, who's like a real estate agent. Now Barb is played by Leslie Grossman, who, if you're a fan of American Horror Story, you're going to know Leslie Grossman's been in the last several seasons of American Horror Story. I think she's from Cult on. Cult, and then like Apocalypse and 1984 and on and on. So yeah, so she's not, she's pretty much a regular on American Horror Story. So anyway, so she shows them this house, the house that this massacre took place in. So they go in there. At first, they're kind of not really feeling it, but Dave Grohl, he likes the sound in the house, and he thinks like it would be conducive to work with, with them trying to get their album going and stuff. So they decide, we're going to take the house, and he decides, we shouldn't just like use the house to record that. We should move here. And of course, the other members of the Foo Fighters, they're pretty reluctant. They don't want to move there. They'd rather be at home with their families and stuff. But, reluctantly, they agree that they're going to move into this house and work on this album. So they're in there and stuff, and, they're trying to work on the album. And, Dave Grohl keeps talking about, like, he's creatively constipated. He can't come up with any ideas for any new music. He's just, he's just not, just nothing's coming to him. And, so at one point, he's like trying to work on music and stuff, and he hears noises and he's seeing things. There's kind of like weird things going on in the house. Like at one point, he's, sitting at a table and, he's like watching, videos about guitar playing and stuff, and he keeps hearing it dripping, from the kitchen sink. So he goes and he's like looking. It's like, wait a minute, there's no water coming out of this thing. So he's like investigating the house and stuff, and he goes into the basement and he finds, this kind of like mutilated squirrel, and you can tell, like, in the basement they've been doing kind of like satanic rituals and things like this. And he finds this tape recorder that this band that was previously in the house that they were working on before they were all killed. And he starts listening to it, and then, scary stuff starts happening. You definitely get a call back to Evil Dead, because, the light bulb starts to fill up with blood, like Evil Dead, and it shatters. And so, these demons, talking about like something like finish it and it begins. And so, he ends up being possessed by this demon. And so he starts, like coming up with this song and everything. And so he's working on it. And at first, the other members of the Foo Fighters are kind of like, hey, this is cool. It's like he's come up with a good song. And like he just keeps working on it. It's like, it's not done, and all this kind of stuff. And he just keeps like wanting to work on this one song. He's like, this song's going to be an epic song. It's just this one song and all this kind of stuff. And, the members of the Foo Fighters, they start to realize, like, okay, Dave is acting really weird. He's not being himself and all this kind of stuff. And then he just becomes more and more like just driven to get this song out. And he starts lashing out, and he starts, like just, growling at them, and his voice becomes demonic and things like this. And so, they're trying to figure out what's going on with him. Well, meanwhile, they got this neighbor lady, Samantha, played by Whitney Cummings. Well, at first, she introduces herself to him, and basically the idea is she wants to, like, maybe see if she could get in on their recording as like a backup singer and stuff like this. But then as the movie progresses, she turns out, she kind of ends up being kind of like Little Miss Exposition. She starts letting them know kind of like, yeah, this house is possessed. There's demonic forces at work in this house and stuff. And something's wrong with Dave. And, you need to find this book. It's almost like a Necronomicon, which, guess what? The book is another callback to Evil Dead. There's this book that they need to find with, demonic incantations and things like this in it. And it's made out of human flesh and skin. Kind of reminds you of a certain movie and everything else. There are callbacks to all different kinds of movies in this. You could tell, like, the Foo Fighters, these guys love horror movies. And you could tell, like, this was just kind of a passion project for them, and they were having fun with it. So anyway, so they realize now that Dave is possessed, and, like, they need to, kind of stop. Because it turns out the problem is like Dave is, like I said, he's really obsessed about getting this song completed. But the problem is, if he gets the song completed, then, it's going to basically unleash hell on earth. And so it's up to the other members of the Foo Fighters to try to stop him before, this can happen. And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to give away too much. This movie has a lot of fun in it. It's got quite a good bit of humor. You get some really, really good gore effects. You got Tony Gardner working on, like the practical effects. Now, there are some visual effects in here which kind of don't really, like, look very good. But you do get some really, you get a lot of blood, a lot of gore. You get some creative kills. There's one particularly fun creative kill with a chainsaw. It starts off kind of like with, it kind of starts off with, like, CGI that doesn't look good. It almost looks like bad 3D. It almost, like, I'm not even kidding. It almost will make you think like you're looking at one of the bad, like, 3D effects from Texas Chainsaw 3D. But then it goes into practical effects, and the practical effects look awesome. but you get a lot of blood, a lot of gore, some fun, creative kills. You get some twists and turns, which I think you're going to kind of see coming, but it doesn't matter. But just if you're enjoying the ride, that's all you need. And this is an awesome movie, and I can't recommend it enough. And like I said, even if you're not a fan of the Foo Fighters, I would say definitely check this out anyway. Because these guys have no problem. These are humble guys, and they have no problems making fun of themselves and, just having a good time making a horror film. The one thing that does bug me, though, is like this only has, like you can see, special features, a gag reel. This is something here I really wish you could have had maybe like the guys in the Foo Fighters do a commentary, maybe like some extra bonus features, like behind the scenes documentary, something. But just, that's kind of one thing. It's like, I really wish this would have had some, good bonus features on it. But it says a new cult classic. I really do believe that. I agree with this. But, yeah. I would definitely say you get the chance. You really need to see Studio 666. It's a laugh riot. It's a gore fest. It's just got about everything you could want. And like I said, the thing is like I'm not really sure how when they did this movie, I'm not sure if they were sitting here thinking like, okay, we're gonna do this movie as just kind of a one-off. Like we're not really interested in getting into making movies. So we're going to do this just kind of as a one-off, and they're like, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to do like a demonic possession movie? Do we want to do a slasher? Do we want to do, like cannibals? Do we want to do ghost story, haunted house? What do we? And Dave Grohl's like, well, hell, let's just do it all. Let's just throw it all in there. So in case we decide this is our one and only movie, we kind of got everything in there that we wanted. Or, just... Anyway, I forgot where I was going with this, but either that or else they were just like, they just decided like, Anyway, yeah, I got off track. I'm sorry. But anyway, and this video is running long, as my videos tend to do. But anyway, yeah, Studio 666, definitely give it a shot. You're not going to be disappointed. Good gore, good fun. You got John Carpenter working on the music score. Come on. Yeah, so... That's it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to the BodyBags channel. There's a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm the Saturday reviewer. We got a great bunch of guys. Everybody's doing great stuff and fun videos to watch, and we got more theme weeks coming and all kinds of good stuff. So, yeah, that's it, everybody. Take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.